Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at the actual full deck list from these upcoming Calyrex VMAX League Battle decks. I told you the other day that these were looking really good, and there were two very strong reasons to believe they would be even better than before. Reason number one, they are the very first ever level 3 products. We've never seen any products labelled like that before. And reason number two, the fact that we are getting a free line of each. You get free of the V and free of the V Max in each of the decks. And I told you that this seemed to be suggesting that these were actually going to be a step above even the previous League Battle decks, which have been awesome. And yeah, these are really good. Like, really, really good. Now, when we're thanking people here, it gets a little bit awkward. So, these were found on a French distributor website. They have been translated, the deck list, by the lovely Alpha TCG, and then the lovely Primal Lugia is the one who actually shared them with me. And I think PokeCardX was the one who initially spotted them, so thanks to all those lovely people. The images we're going to use of the list are from PokeGuardian, because they've put them up there super easily in English, and that makes our job easy. And straight off the bat, these are good. These are really, really good. When we looked at like the Urshifu ones, they were good, but there were clearly some corners that had to be cut here and there. Here, these look just like legit deck lists. And that is absolutely amazing. So if we start off with the Ice Rider Calyrex, we get free Ice Rider Calyrex V and free Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX. Full free line of your main attacker here. Because again, in the Urshifu ones, there were 2-2 lists. Nobody really plays 2-2 lists. You play free lists. So actually here, having them as a free list makes so much more sense than the 2-2 list we had before. It's one example of how they really are just real proper decks now, rather than pretty gosh darn similar. So, Ice Rider Calyrex V isn't particularly impressive, let's not get too excited, but the V Max, 2 colourless energy, 10 damage plus 30 more for each of your opponent's bench. But most of the time you're using Max Lance, 2 water energy, 10 damage, discard up to 2 energy, 120 more for each one discarded. Discard the full 2 energy, you do 250 for 2 energy. That's really, really good. Now, the engine that most people play with this is Inteleon, and that is exactly what we see here. Now, we don't know which Sobble they are including. I don't know is the honest answer. I'm hoping it's the one from Crimson Invasion. It's probably the one from Sword and Shield if I'm honest, but I'm hoping it's the one from Crimson Invasion. But we know we do have 4 Drizzile, and these are good decks, so I'm willing to believe it is the Drizzile with Shaylee Dealings. It has to be. This is one where you evolve into it and you search your deck for any trainer card. This is great. This is one of the best engines in the entire game right now, and you're not getting 1 or 2 of these, you're getting a full playset of them. Because the deck should play a playset of them, so yeah. And this is like a free $4 card on its own. These are $30 products, and you are getting yourself kind of $12 to $16 worth of stuff just with your playset of Drizzile here, which is silly. We then see a 2-2 split of the Inteleon. We've got the Inteleon with Shady Dealings, that when you evolve into it searches any 2 trainers, and we got 2 of the Inteleon from Chilling Reign, that's got the amazing quick shot ability, or quick shooting I should say, which lets you put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is what proper tournament winning Ice Rider Calyrex decks have played in the past. They play the Inteleon line, and I know it varies deck to deck, but both the Inteleon are good. 4 Sobble, 4 Drizzile, 2 of each Inteleon, and your free Ice Rider Calyrex. There's no compromises being made here in terms of the Pokemon line. We're not seeing a bunch of other Pokemon popped in to pad out the deck. If you were playing Ice Rider Calyrex, you would play it with just Inteleon, and that is exactly what we see here. And then as we get to the trainers, it's exactly the same thing. It looks like a proper deck list, even more so than the previous ones. We've got 2 copies of Air Balloon that reduces your retreat cost by 2. That's about right. 3 copies of Boss's Orders. Now it is a Lysander one here, and that is, you need that for gusting, and 3 is about right. 3 copies of Capacious Bucket to search out your water energy, which is pretty gosh darned important here. You need to get your water energy, you need to get it in the discard, etc. More on that in a moment. So having that here is pretty gosh darn nice. We've got 3 copies of Evolution Incense to search out your evolved Pokemon, which is pretty gosh darn good. You would be playing that, you need that. 4 Level Balls to search out your smaller Pokemon. Essentially, that is your Sobble and your Drizzile. And then 4 Quick Ball, which gets your basic Pokemon. And Dex play 4 Quick Ball. We've then got 2 Switch to switch your active Pokemon. Everybody plays Switch. We've got 2 copies of Marnie and 2 copies of Professor's Research Juniper. And essentially, these are your go-to supporters for most decks. Research is the discard your hand and draw 7. And Marnie is both players shuffle their hands, put them on the bottom of their deck. Whoever played it gets 5 cards, the other person gets 4. But then at the start of their turn, they take a 5th. This is what you see in decks. Why only 2 Marnie and 4 Juniper? Because you're playing 4 Melanie. And this deck has 4 Melanie. Because Ice Rider Calyrex's attack takes 2 energy. That's what you need. You need the 2 energy. And you can only attach 1 energy per turn. And you need to discard both of them in order to do the full 250. So if you're going to have a really good deck here, what you need is to be able to accelerate that second energy. How do the best decks do it? They do it with Melanie. So you get 4 copies of Melanie, because if somebody was taking this deck to a tournament, you'd be playing it with 4 copies of Melanie. And that's what I think is so phenomenal about the way these decks have been made this time round. They are being made as if you're heading to a tournament. You could take this list to a tournament and do pretty gosh darned well if you knew what you were doing playability-wise. This is a good list. Oh yeah, we also got 4 Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak is a phenomenal stadium that means that Pokemon with rule boxes don't have abilities. Well, you've got Inteleon that doesn't have a rule box, and Ice Rider Calyrex that doesn't have abilities, so Path to the Peak is the stadium you would play here to try and beat some of the top decks. You get it in here and then 9 water energy just to finish off. This is a legit deck. And don't get me wrong, I've been singing the praises of League Battle decks since they first came around, but the fact that you get a free line of your main attacker, the fact that you get a full 4-4-2-2 Inteleon line, the fact that you've got trainer lines, with things like 4 Quick Ball, 4 Level Ball, 4 Path to the Peak, this is so good. And seriously, if any of you are thinking about getting into competitive Pokemon that don't already, this is a great option. There is one downside here, and the downside is a bunch of these cards are going to rotate. Things like Quick Ball, things like Drizzile, and a bunch of others are unfortunately going to rotate when we hit end of August, beginning of September. That's the way it is. The fact of the matter is, most people that are playing in tournaments right now have these cards. So these are really for people to get a good stock of good cards and get to learn competitively. Yes, some of them are going to rotate out of standard, and that's a little bit sad. That doesn't mean these decks aren't phenomenal, and we've still got a few months before they rotate out after release. Make no mistake, these are great. Moving over to the Shadow Rider deck, you got a free line of Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Again, it's only the VMAX we're really worried about here. The ability lets you attach a Psychic Energy to one of your bent Psychic Pokemon once per turn, and if you do, draw 2 cards. Great. And then the attack for free energy minimum does 10 damage, plus 30 more free Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So you want to be just, peppering energy around the field. So it's got energy acceleration, withdraw, and then extra damage, depending on the amount of energy which you're accelerating yourself. Yeah, this has been a beast since it came out, and it's not had quite the level of success I was expecting, but just on the face of it, this is one of the best cards we've had in a while. It's got a good attack and a great ability. And you'll notice this is a bit more energy hungry than the last deck, so we have 15 basic Psychic rather than 9 water in the other deck. It needs more energy, you get more energy. Deck ain't being filled up with energy, you need more energy. Now, in terms of the other Pokemon, you get yourself 3 copies of Cresselia. Why Cresselia? Because it's got the attack for a single Psychic Energy. Search for a Psychic Energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. But if you go second and it's your first turn of the game, search for 3 Psychic Energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. It's also a decent non-V single prize attacker with Photon Laser. If you got at least 5 energy in play, it does 120 for 2 energy. Cresselia gets played in these decks. This is good. You've then got 2 copies of Galarian Articuno. Why do we have 2 copies of Galarian Articuno? Because it's got that amazing ability whereby you bench it, and when you bench it, you can attach 2 extra energy to it. Bearing in mind, you've got an attack that does more damage depending on how much energy you've got on the field. So clearly, having extra energy on the field with Galarian Articuno to do extra damage is a very good thing indeed. So you get a couple of those. And then we get Pumpkaboo. Yep, a single copy of Pumpkaboo. Because when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard a Stadium in play. And actually, that's pretty big. I just told you about Path to the Peak a moment ago. This is one of the decks that hates Path to the Peak because the ability on Shadow Rider Calyrex is so gosh darn good. So having a Pokemon that can get rid of a Stadium, clearly a very good thing indeed. Once again, very good Pokemon line. Not quite to the level of the Ice Rider Calyrex, but still pretty gosh darn good. We've then got, in terms of trainers, 2 Air Balloon to reduce your retreat cost, 4 Evolution Incense to search out your evolved Pokemon, but we also get 4 Fog Crystal here. Fog Crystal is a rather nice item card that searches for a Psychic Energy or a basic Psychic Pokemon. Your entire deck is Psychic Pokemon. So, clearly, if you were playing this deck, you'd be playing 4 Fog Crystal, so we have 4 Fog Crystal. We still have 4 Quick Ball, but we also have 2 Great Ball here. That's the look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a Pokemon, put it in your hand. Reason being, it's the kind of thing you would want to play here, honestly. You need to be getting set up. Couple of those quite nice. We've got a copy of Ordinary Rod to get our Pokemon back. You don't really need it in the Ice Rider decks, but here these generally tend to play one, so you get one. Couple copies of Switch, also gets your energy back, I should say. 3 copies of Boss's Orders. 4 copies of Marnie rather than 2 in the other deck, and 4 copies of Professor's Research rather than 2 in the other deck. And the reason is very simple. In the Ice Rider deck, you want Melanie, so there's 4 copies of Melanie. Here, you don't want something like Melanie, you just want draw supporters. One of the 2 draw supporters everybody plays, Marnie and Professor's Research, you get 4 of each. And then you just get 3 copies of Training Court. That is a stadium that lets you put a basic energy from your discard pile into your hand once during your turn. And bearing in mind, if you get that psychic energy, you can then attach it using your ability and then draw cards. Yeah, Training Court's a good stadium. And that's what I keep coming back to with these decks. These are clearly made by somebody who understands the game, who knows the competitive landscape, and who is trying to give us actual functioning decks. With things like the Rapid Strike and Single Strike Urshifu, they were good decks, but go back and check the videos. I was telling you with those, if you just buy a couple of singles, you'll be doing pretty well. This will work. These decks are properly ready out the box. If you were playing these, maybe you would want to add in, something like a Crobat for a little bit of extra draw, etc. But generally speaking, these are pretty much ready to go. And to be fair, neither of these decks desperately needs Crobat because Shadow Rider Calyrex has got its own draw engine and Ice Rider Calyrex uses the Inteleon engine. These are pretty much ready to go. I told you that these looked like they could be a step above what we'd seen before, and now we finally got the full deck list, and I'm delighted to say these really are a step above what we've seen before, and this is one of those things where the Pokemon Company needs to be applauded, because honestly, I play a bunch of TCGs. There is no game around, at least that I'm aware of, that you can get into playing as easily as this. The Pokemon Company are making Pokemon the easiest TCG to get into and play competitively in terms of getting a good functioning deck rolling, and I, for one, am absolutely delighted. But I want to know what you think. Do you like these? Are you going to be picking them up? How would you improve them? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWazi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/TheWazi. patreon.com/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.